Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. This is Wasim again with you with question number 7. And this was a different nature of question in the examination. I had many queries from colleagues and candidates, and they were not pretty much sure about how to solve such questions. Anyhow, there was a reference document given by NEBOSH with exam, which was HSG 245 document. And for this question, you needed to consult that document. You needed to use that document as a reference document to provide certain information. The problem came when people started reading the whole document and they spent a lot of time, they wasted a lot of time and effort in reading out the whole document. However, the smarter approach was you need to just read the question and going directly to the same section of that document and taking out the information rather reading whole 88 pages of this document. Anyhow, we'll be discussing how to solve such questions in the exam. So let's start. Guys, looking at the question here, it is very clear that this question is not a direct question as NEBOSH used to ask you in the previous 6 questions, and you were consulting some of the study materials to take out some information and all of that. If we read out the question here, you have decided that the recent accident when a worker's leg was broken need to be investigated. Decide what level of investigation, minimal, lower, medium, high, is appropriate in this case, clearly justifying each step you take that leads to your decision of what kind of investigation it should be. You should refer the likelihood and consequence criteria described in HSG 245. You should support your answer where applicable using relevant information from the scenario. So here the examiner is asking you something which you might not have practiced in the syllabus in details, but here you need to do a little bit more mind mapping, and you need to be looking at the information source provided also, and looking at the current situation in the scenario. You will be coming up with your decision on what kind of investigation it would be, what level of investigation it would be. So we'll be solving it in a different approach here now. So friends, to answer such questions, first of all, we need to gather some information from the scenario, and we need to make sure what exactly happened and what is the relevant information we are going to use to make our final decision on level of investigation. So as per scenario, there have been many injuries recorded over the years. Most recently, a repeat of a major serious collision occurred involving a young forklift truck driver. The brakes were applied too late as the driver was distracted by their mobile phone. The forklift truck skidded on an oil spillage and knocked goods over onto a passing worker. On this occasion, the worker's leg was broken, which required urgent hospital treatment. The hospital is 5 miles, approximately 8 kilometers away from the store. The worker is expected to be off work for 6 weeks to recover from the injury. The injured worker is seeking legal advice in order to make a claim for compensation. So, reading out the information in this scenario, guys, there are many things which are very clear now, and we'll be moving on to the brainstorming session in which we will be coming up with some of the information, connecting it to the HSG 245 document also and our course materials to further formulate our answer accordingly. So friends, in this slide, I put forward 2 sources of information we needed to be referring and answering this question. On your right side is the extract of the information we took from HSG 245 document as advised by examiner. And on the left side, we have extract from our course materials. This is one of the slides from your NEBOSH IGC 1, element number 4, accident investigations topic. So if we look at the document on your right, which is HSG 245 document, there are 2 matrices shown. The first matrix we used, and there are 2 factors discussed: likelihood of reoccurrence of these events and potential worst consequence of the adverse event. So if we take the first factor here, keeping the information from scenario in mind, it is clear that these incidents are repeating very frequently, and many times there was forklift truck colliding with people with materials in the area. So I put forward here likelihood is likely, okay, which is a higher likelihood in if we look at the whole matrix here. Looking at the second factor, which is the consequence of the adverse event, we all know that the last accident we had was a broken leg case, which was a major injury. Also, there was a financial, moral, and legal impact associated with this event, where the employee is going to court to call for compensation. The medical cost is associated. The disruption is there since he will be in the hospital for 6 weeks or more time. So all of these factors, considering these factors, will make the consequence of adverse event more worst, and we have selected major category here. So looking at two-factor theory, we decided that the likelihood is likely and the consequence is major. So down there, if you go to the smaller matrix where the risk is defined, we are clearly in red zone, and in red zone our risk is high for repeating such incidents in future. So going down, point number 4, which is marked here, uh, what we are going to do if our risk is high, a high level investigation will involve a team based approach of investigating involving supervisors and line managers, health and safety advisors, and employee representatives. It will be carried out under the supervision of senior management or directors, and will look for the immediate and underlying and root causes accordingly. So, guys, we made up our mind to go with the high level of investigation for this event. This is how you need to use this information to make up your mind on certain thing. And now in the next slide, we are going to put forward these things formally in answer part. So friends, in our brainstorming session in the previous slide, now we need to put forward things formally, and in our answers we will be writing it in this style: that likelihood factor, after analyzing the scenario carefully, it is clear that the forklift truck and workers collision incidents are repeating very frequently. So it is clear that the likelihood of such incidents is very high to repeat in future as well. In guidance document, it will fall under likely category. For the consequence factors, we'll be writing, considering the second factor, consequences of the incident, the case is broken leg case, and for sure it will fall in major consequence category. Uh, and if you look at the final risk level, referring to the risk matrix provided in HSG 245 document, it is clearly lying in the red category, which is a high risk. So we have a high risk of repeating these incidents. It is clear, and this is what my stance is. This is, somebody can be a different stance on this also, but looking at these two factors theories, that's what we came up with. So our risk level is high. So finally, justifying our answer, we need to write down level of investigations. And once we are clear on the fact that the risk factor of repeating such incident in future is high, the level of investigation should be high also. And what we do in high level of investigation, guys, we need to mention here a little bit on this also. A high level of investigation will involve a team-based investigation involving supervisor or line managers, health and safety advisors, and employee representatives. It will be carried out under the supervision of senior manager or management or directors, and will look for the immediate underlying and root causes to put forward their control strategy. So this is how we'll be concluding our answer, and I put forward the references also used for this question. It will help you to know how to write the references also. So in references, for sure, we need to mention clearly, as it was advised by examiner in the question paper, that you need to use HSG 245 document So the first reference I mentioned here is Investigating Accidents and Incidents, HSG 245 document, HSC UK. The second reference we used is NEBOSH IGC Element 4 RRC training materials. And then we get some information from the scenario also. So if you want to write a reference on scenario, you can write NEBOSH IGC 1 exam scenario August 2020. This is how we'll be completing this question. So friends, usually we are getting direct question by NEBOSH in the exams, and it is very easy to consult different sources of information to answer those questions. But sometimes you may get questions like this. In that case, we need to be doing some brainstorming, we need to be following the instructions by examiners, and we need to come up with the answers adequately. Hope you like the video. Stay connected, stay tuned. We'll be seeing you in our next video with question number 8. Thank you. Stay blessed.